Guys, and welcome back to another video. I'm celebrating 100 followers on Instagram, which is such an incredible milestone, by having my followers decide what I drew. So I just did that by having a bunch of polls and questions that they had to answer, and I also decided to turn this into a Draw This in Your Style challenge, so learn more about that at the end of the video. So the first thing they had to decide was pronouns, so I chose they, them, and I did pronouns instead of specific gender just because it would be a little less complicated. All questions involved their body type, and they had decided on a more feminine body and to have somewhere right in between curvy and skinny. I had an idea of what the body was supposed to look like. I did a quick starting sketch of the character. A couple of questions involved hair, and most had voted for shorter opposed to longer, and for a wavy style of hair. So now I'm just going through and finding references of how I want the hair to look, and I ended up narrowing it down to 2, which I did quick sketches of so I could compare the two to see which one I would rather have on the character. After comparing them, I decided on the second hairstyle. Category was skin tone, and it ended up being somewhere in the middle with a sort of brown skin tone. Going to be looking at the different colors my followers chose. So the first one was hair color, and the majority ended up voting for a redhead orange sort of color for the hair. I ended up changing the hair color a lot throughout the video. And then the second one was the general color palette, and they had chosen a pastel-y one, which I was super excited for because I don't work much with pastels, but I've been wanting to because I think they look really pretty. Some random color palette, so when I start doing the clothing, I kind of have an idea of what colors I'm going to use. The outfit was probably what I struggled with the most because they had voted for a vintage/retro style, and I ended up going with something from the 80s or 90s. And while this was definitely a fun challenge, I'm not very aware of the fashion then. I mean, I don't really get involved in fashion much anyways, so I definitely struggled with the outfit. But one thing that I knew from the start was I wanted these sort of cuffed jeans, just because I have seen people wear those and I honestly love them. But then the top was a different story, and I had a lot more trouble trying to figure that out. Okay, so then I had to stop drawing for a bit because I remembered that I also asked if the character should have more of an earthy feel or should be more mythical, and the majority had voted for a more mythical character, so I spent a bit of time trying to figure out how to incorporate that. My first idea was to draw some sort of horns, but I didn't like that. What was my solution to not being able to draw horns the way I want? Draw wings! So the character, I ended up giving them some wings instead of horns because I just thought it would look cool. I spent a lot of time trying to make the anatomy of the wings make sense, but then when I went to do the final drawing, I just completely forgot about everything that I practiced and learned while doing this. And while they still look cool, I don't think the wings in the final drawing make any sense. Now I'm just going through and turning the opacity of all of the sketching off so that I could start putting the colors on top and figure out what colors I would actually use in the final drawing. As you can see right now, I'm doing the hair color, and I changed the color of the hair so often throughout this whole drawing process. It still is constantly some sort of reddish or orangish color, but just the different shade I could not decide on what to choose. Now, as you can see, I've also started coloring the outfit, which this was another thing. I've changed so much. Like, I think I had about like 30 minutes of footage of just me coloring the outfit, because when I filmed this, I had done it in real time, and it took forever. What just happened there, I had didn't come up, but I had copied one of the designs of the shirts I got as a reference and immediately erased it. The shirt I'm doing right now, the colors do end up being more pastel, but I absolutely love how it looks, and I want the shirt in real life. I mean, and I tried so hard to incorporate it into the design, but unfortunately, I couldn't find like a good way to have the shirt and just like incorporate also like a jacket or something. Just the colors, it was too like vibrant. Any color I tried to make the jacket, it just competed with the shirt too much, so it was a bit overwhelming. You saw, I went through like at least 20 different designs, but I ended up ditching the shirt and just went for like a windbreaker and jeans. So this was the final sketch, and now we can actually move on to the finished drawing. One of the most important aspects that I forgot to include at the beginning of the video, because this was like the last question I asked, is I had asked for name suggestions. So what I did is I did random number generator for all of the requests, and it ended up generating one, and the first name request was Sam. So the character is named Sam. I love the name Sam, and I feel that it does fit with the character having they them pronouns and being like non-binary, since Sam is a fairly gender neutral term and it doesn't really isn't specific to either girls or guys. The speed paint is split up into two parts because I had started doing the sketches on a rectangular canvas, but then I decided that I wanted the final thing to be on a square, since it's better suited for the way Instagram's cropping works. So you will see a bit of a transition there, and I just saved the sketches from this canvas onto the new one. As you can tell, I've now gotten started using the square canvas. So for the format of this character sheet, I wanted to show the front of Sam and the back of Sam, as I thought those would be the most beneficial to someone who wanted to redraw them. And for the back, the main reason why I wanted to show the back was because I wanted to show how the shirt worked with their wings. Well, I know this isn't the most creative solution. I basically just imagine that Sam maybe cut two big holes in the back of the shirt so that their wings would fit through. Anyways, the liner is pretty much all done, and I'm going to move on to the coloring. And while for the most part it stayed pretty consistent with the sketch, I did end up changing the hair and skin just a little bit. Well, I feel like the hair did end up changing a lot from the finished sketch, but the skin stayed fairly similar, just made it a bit more vibrant. So for the back, to kind of showcase how the wings worked, what I decided to do was just have one of the wings on the back, so that you could still tell that, Sam has wings, but you could easily see the hole in the shirt. You have the final drawing. I absolutely love how it turned out, and this was honestly so much fun to do. Like, I would like to give a huge thank you to anyone who participated. I'm going to be talking about how the Draw This in Your Style challenge aspect of this challenge is going to work. If you decide to draw this, you can post it either on YouTube or Instagram, and the most important thing is you must include the hashtag Briar100DTIYS so that I can easily find the drawings. And the reason why I want to find them, not only to see your guys' beautiful artworks, but I'm going to be including every entry in my YouTube video, upcoming YouTube videos, and my Instagram stories. Also, I decided against making it a competition, as I just wanted it to be a fun challenge to give thanks to my followers and share some of their artwork. Anyways, I will put up a picture right now of the rest of the rules, and you can look at that. And if you don't follow these rules, I most likely won't share the image onto my YouTube or story. But since it's not a competition, some I might not be as strict with, especially with the color palette and whatnot, but still generally try to stick with the rules. Color palette, I mean, if you change the colors of the shirt or the hair a bit, I'm not just gonna disqualify you or anything like that. Well, that's all that I have to say for now. I hope at least some of you find an interest in this drawing and decide to do it, but that's all that I have to say for now, so remember to stay weird, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!